So today's session is our spinal rotation and thoracic extension. So for all of you who are at home working on your laptop or on your computer, and even for when you go back to work and you sat at your desk, this is a really great one to open up your spine, because we obviously spend a lot of time sat in this slumped position. So we want to open our backs up and be able to rotate as well, just to mobilise through the upper back and the spine. So we always start with connection, posture and breathing. So if you lay on your back, so just want to first of all think about the connection between your body and the floor. So it's your feet, you want to feel your feet symmetrically from side to side, and you want to also feel your feet from side to side on the individual foot. So inner and outer foot you want to feel connected with the floor. So if you feel like you're more on the outside or more on the inside, just think about what you need to do to get your foot into a more neutral position. And then we're thinking about our pelvis, so we should feel connected underneath the pelvis, underneath the TL junction, which is the junction between your upper and lower back, underneath both shoulder blades and underneath the back of the head. So we'll just go through a few sort of postural cues now that will help you feel better connected with the floor. So we've already sort of been through the feet, so if you're feeling like you've got one side pushing down more than the other, just think about trying to distribute that weight a bit more evenly between the sides. And then we're just going to think about our pelvis, so we want that into a more neutral position, so we're going to do a pelvic rock. So you're going to peel your spine away from the floor and then reverse peel into the floor. So when you peel it away, you should get a gap coming between your back and the floor. And then when you are reverse peeling, your back sort of kind of caves into the floor. So you're going to go between those two movements. So rocking backwards and forwards. And you just want to finish in the neutral spine, which is the midpoint between the two end ranges. So if you've got your full range here, full range here, your neutral spine should feel like it's the midpoint between those two end ranges. And your back should be flat on the floor, there shouldn't be any gap, they shouldn't be curved into the floor like you feel when you're doing those two end ranges. It should be nice and flat on the floor, so you shouldn't be able to get your hands underneath. And that should better connect your pelvis and the floor. Then you want to work your way up to your TL junction, and you have to imagine that your rib cage and your pelvis are like the pages of a book. So you want the book to be closed, you don't want the pages to be open. So when your pages are open, you get the rib flaring and you get this arch underneath your back. So we want to try and pull the pages together so that the pelvis and the diaphragm are parallel with each other. So pelvis and ribcage parallel. And that should better connect the TL junction and the floor now. So you should feel good connection underneath your feet, pelvis, TL junction. And then we're just going to think about the shoulders. So we want the shoulders to be in a neutral position. So they don't want to be up here or forwards, they want to be nice and neutral. So to do that, we're going to externally rotate the shoulders and depress. So you don't want to pull the shoulders back towards the floor into retraction, just want to imagine you're externally rotating, so using these muscles at the back to pull the shoulders into external rotation and depression. So when I say depression, I just mean like your shoulders are going down towards your bum on that side. And your shoulder blades should feel equal from side to side, so similar to your feet feeling equal side to side. And then you want to think about your head and your neck. So we're going to keep looking up towards the ceiling. Don't let your head tilt backwards, and then don't tuck your chin in. So you're going to push your head back towards the floor, keeping on looking at the ceiling, and you should then feel these muscles at the front of the neck switch on. So you should feel those activate. They're your deep neck flexors. So now that we've thought about the connection, we should feel it underneath the feet, underneath the pelvis, underneath the TL junction, both shoulders equally, and the back of the head. So just think about those points, and then put one hand on the chest and one hand on the tummy. And we're just going to work on the breath. So we're just going to get the breath in the right order first of all. So when you take a breath in, this diaphragm should go downwards, and then that should create a pressure in your abdomen. So as you're breathing in, your abdomen should lift, and as you're breathing out, your abdomen should lower. So we're going to think about which hand is moving when we're breathing in and out. So the hand on the chest shouldn't go anywhere. Hand on the tummy should lift and lower. So lift on the breath in and lower on the breath out. So if you've done this before, just use this as a bit of a meditation time to just clear your mind, think about your breath only, what that's doing. Try not to let your minds wander. If you feel like your mind's wandering, just try and pull it back to your breath. Do a couple more of those. And now we've got the breath in the right order, we're going to work on our 360-degree diaphragmatic breath. So when you're breathing in and your diaphragm goes down, you want to be using all the whole of the diaphragm the whole way around, and you'll know that you're doing that because you'll be activating all of the muscles the whole way around the abdomen. So when you take a breath in, you want to feel all these muscles expand underneath your hands. So we're just going to put our hands around our waist. So find the bony bits at the front, grab hold with your fingers in here, wobble the hand around the waist, and then thumbs grabbing hold of the back. So to wake the muscles up, you're going to cough. Feel the muscles expand underneath your hands, and then you want to think about those muscles as you're breathing in, now expanding and lifting your hands away. So you want to feel it symmetrically from side to side, and then equally from front to back. So if you're struggling in one area, just really try and think about that particular area. Poke the muscles a little bit to wake them up. Or if you want to do it another way, you can just start by focusing on the front. So think about those muscles at first. Try and focus on those muscles. Cough again if you need to. Wake them up. And if you feel like you've got those, work around the side now. So poke into the side muscles. Feel those thumbs lifting, or the web of the hand lifting away from and pushing the hands away. And now put the thumbs in the back. So this is the ones that everyone always struggles with. So really try and poke them, give them a bit of a wiggle, a shake, prod. Just wake your brain up to let your brain know where the muscles are. And then try and tie it all in together so you're breathing 360 degrees. And then think about your pelvic floor at the same time. So as you breathe it in, your pelvic floor should mimic your diaphragm. So when you breathe in, your diaphragm goes down, your pelvic floor lowers towards your feet. Okay, good. So now we've got the 360 degree breath. We need to know how to brace and breathe. So when you're doing something that you need more stability or more stabilization, so like when you're carrying the kids or doing the shopping or you're lifting weights or anything like that, you're going to need to be able to brace and breathe at the same time. So to do that, you're going to create that 360 degree breath, and then you're going to do an outward push. So imagine that you're farting basically. So when you do a brace, you don't want to suck in, you don't want to clench or tense, you don't want to pull the belly button towards the spine. It's an outward push. So you're going to breathe 360 degrees, an outward push, so an out like you're farting, an outward brace, and then carry on breathing and keep that activation of the abdominal wall as you're breathing in and out. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth through pursed lips as if you're blowing through a straw. Just going to do a couple more breaths. Okay, great. So try and remember the 360 degree breath throughout the flow. Try and think about your pelvis, so keeping a neutral pelvis, neutral lower back, shoulders in a neutral position and neck in a neutral position. And try and not to let your spine flex forwards. And then when you're doing things that need a little bit more stability, you're going to do your brace breathe. So put your feet together. So like I say, we're doing spinal rotation and thoracic extension today. So we're going to start with some spinal rotation. So put your hands out to the sides, palms facing up, shoulders at 45 degrees, feet and knees together. And we're just going to rotate the pelvis and the knees and the hips to one side and then look the other way. And then as you're pulling your legs back in, try and use these muscles here, your obliques, to pull from the rib cage rather than just bringing your knees up and just not really activated anything in particular. It's just like throwing your legs back. You want to use these muscles to pull the knees back over. And then you're going to take them the opposite way and look the opposite way to the knees. And then pull back. And just keep alternating from side to side. Might hear a few pops in your spine, that's not a problem, don't worry about it. It's just little gas bubbles releasing as your joints are mobilising. Just do a few more each side. And then you're going to take one leg straight and then bring the opposite knee over your body and grab hold of the knee with the opposite hand. Look the other way and just pull the knee towards the floor. Feel that twist in the spine. You're going to bring that leg back and then bring the, so straighten that leg and then take the opposite leg over the body. And then bring that leg back and take the opposite leg over. Feel that stretch and then bring it down, and just going to do a few of these alternating from side to side. If you want to just hold that position for a few seconds, that's fine. Or you can just alternate from side to side without a little pause. You might find that one side's easier to do. You always do find the little imbalances. Okay, one more each side. Okay, bring your feet back up, feet hip distance apart. Make sure you've got your neutral pelvis, ribs and pelvis in connection. Shoulders neutral, head pushed into the floor. And we're just going to lift one leg into the air and then lower. And then the other leg, lower. And we're just going to do alternating legs. Movement just coming from the hips. No movement from the spine or pelvis. Just keep alternating the legs. And then to make it a bit more challenging, we're going to take both our legs up. So you're going to create your 360-degree breath. Your outward brace, you're pretending you're farting, and then you're going to lift the legs up into the air. And what you don't want to happen is you lift and your pelvis tilts forwards. So your back wants to stay flat on the floor. So that's why you need the brace. And lower, so you're taking both your legs up and down. Do a couple more. And then hold the legs in the air. So now we're going to do alternating toe taps. So from this 3-month supine position where your feet are higher than your knees, knees over your hips, hips in external rotation, feet in slight dorsiflexion, so pointed towards your head and in a neutral position. So tap one side, up, tap the other side, one side. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, we're going to extend the hip and to move out the way of the sofa. So extend the hip and knee, but only do this if you can keep your back flat on the floor. So if you're taking your legs down and your back's starting to lift, just stick with toe taps, or you can just stay with your legs in the air, or you can go back to the floor and just do toe taps from the floor. So nice and controlled movements. No movement from the spine or pelvis. Just do one more each side. Bring your knees up to your chest. Give your hip flexors a rest. And then we're just going to take the legs back up. And we're going to do some spinal rotations in the 3-month supine. So you're going to take your legs one side, take your head the opposite way. Try and control it so you're not just flopping to the floor. And then we want to pull the legs back in and then go the other way. Good, and your head's going the opposite way to the legs. Using those muscles in your obliques again to pull your legs back into the middle. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, take your legs one side, extend your hips and knees, bring your legs to the other side and pull your legs back in. And then extend the hips and knees, take your legs over to the other side, back in, out. Again, only do this if you can keep your back flat on the floor. If you can't, keep your back flat on the floor, just keep with your legs in the air, going side to side. I'm just going to do a few more of these. Just do one more. Okay, again, bring your hips in, knees in, so you give your hip flexors a rest. And we're just going to roll, do some rolling now, some side to side. So I'm going to lift the head up slightly, look to the side that you're rolling, and we're just going to roll nice and controlled. So when you're rolling, you want to imagine you've got a Lego body and your body moves as one. So your pelvis and your shoulders come at the same time. You don't just go pelvis then shoulders, or shoulders then pelvis. So it all comes as one. Nice and controlled, so don't let yourself flop. When you get onto your side, make sure you've got your straight spine so you're not twisted into the floor, like sunk into the floor with a banana spine. And then we're going to go the other way. So side to side, nice and controlled. Okay, just do one more each side. And then we want to end up on the left hand side, and we're going to go up into a low oblique sit and then up into high oblique. So high oblique is in these with your mermaid legs, and then the hand flat on the floor. Straight spine, don't let your spine banana. And we're just going to do some rotations, but trying to focus on the spine rotating. So arm up into the air, and then we're going to pull the arm down to go next to the other hand, so both hands are flat on the floor. Try and feel that twist in the spine. Don't let your spine bend, like flex forward, so you're going to try and stay upright as well. And then arm up, feel that rotation. back down. Feel that twist in the spine every time you do it. And then going to go back down onto low oblique sit, and we're going to do the same. So we're going to go to the forearms flat on the floor this time. I'm going to rotate from the ceiling up, down onto the floor, so both forearms are flat on the floor. And you'll feel a bit of a twist in the spine a bit higher up this time. Make sure the shoulder, forgot to say, the shoulder is in a neutral position, so you don't want to be hunched with the shoulder forwards. You want to pull the shoulder back into external rotation and depression again. So we're going to roll, twist round, hands flat on the floor, up, do one more. And then we're going to come back into this low oblique sit, but pull the right foot in front of the left leg, and we're going to roll from this position into 4.5 month prone. So now I'll turn this way so you can see a bit better. You want the right leg to be straight back, left knee to be bent, and the weight is on the inside of the left knee, and then it's on the right forearm. So the left arm should be free. Neutral spine, so try not to let your spine collapse. Try not to round your upper back. Okay, so we're pushing down into the floor with the right forearm and activating into the right shoulder girdle. So again, pulling the shoulder back and down, or like not back and down, into external rotation and down. And then we're gonna rotate up to the ceiling and then come through and rotate up and down. Let's do a few of these. Okay, last one. So now we're gonna come back into our low oblique sit on the left. I'll turn around again. And then we're going to come up into high oblique sit, tall oblique sit, and we're going to rotate the legs, so knees going up to the ceiling. Try and make the spine nice and straight so you're not rounded like this. And you're going to take one leg down, bring that knee in and twist. So if your left leg's straight, your right leg knee's bent and hips bent, you're going to grab hold of the right knee with the left arm and twist towards the right. And then straighten the right leg, bend the left knee. Same again, so if your left knee's bent, you're going to take your right arm, try and twist around it, grab hold of the outside of the left knee, and you're going to twist to the left. And back into the middle, bring both feet up. spine nice and straight again, and then twist towards the right. I'm going to turn this way so you can see me. And then we're going to go back into our high oblique twists. So right hand flat on the floor this time, shoulder active, straight spine, no banana in. And we're just going to take the arm up to the ceiling and bring it to the floor. So if both hands are flat on the floor, try and keep, again, active shoulders. Try not to let yourself go into this rounded position. Up to the ceiling, round. Feel the rotation in the spine. Let's do one more. And then go down into the lower oblique sit. So left and right forearm flat on the floor, and then take the left arm up to the ceiling. Come round, put both forearms flat on the floor. So try when you come down to lengthen through the spine. Try not to let yourself round through here. Do a few more of these. Last one. And now we're going to bring that left foot forwards of the right leg, and then we're going to lift the right glute off the floor, and then come down into into this 4.5 month prone. So now the left forearm is going to be flat on the floor, right knee is bent, so the right inside of the knee is on the floor. Let's come back here. Left leg straight. Activate through the left shoulder girdle, so pull that back into external rotation and depression. Push the floor away with the forearm, and then we're just going to rotate up. Make sure you've got your neutral spine so you're not sagging into the floor. Rotate and stretch. So right hand is going from being up towards the ceiling and then stretching forwards. Do one more. Now pull the left leg back in, so we're going into the low quadruped. So you're going to have about 90 to 120 degrees of hip flexion. Your elbows want to be in line with your ears, forearms pointed towards each other, middle finger in line with the forearm. So you're going to be basically like that. So you don't want your wrist to be pointing out to the sides or going inwards. Okay, so start by finding your neutral spine. So you're going to tilt your pelvis forwards and backwards, similar to what you did in the supine position. And we're going to find the midpoint. So my midpoint feels about there. And then what we want to try and work on in this position is trying to get away from this flexed upper back into an extended position. So that's flexion, that's extension. But what a lot of people do when they're trying to extend through here, because they've not got the movement, they end up extending into the lower back instead. So we need to try and teach you how to get your neutral and then extend the upper back without this bit moving anywhere. So when you're on your hands and knees, you're going to keep your neutral spine, so find that neutral, and then you're going to work on pulling this bit towards the floor without letting this collapse into an extension. So down onto your knees and hands, forearms, find your neutral. So I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit. So that's what I used to be like. So I'll find my neutral, and I've got to now pull my upper back into extension without doing that. So try and work on that movement. And you should feel a mobilisation through your upper back when you do this. At the same time, think about your shoulders, so don't let your shoulders come up by your ears and don't let your shoulders collapse. So you're going to push the floor away and pull again into external rotation and depression. So you should feel the muscles here working. And if you feel like when you're trying to pull the upper back down, you lose it here, doesn't matter, just try then to correct the lower back into a neutral position without rounding the upper back again. Again, with the more that you practice this, the easier it gets. Okay, so we're working on that upper back extension. And now put one hand behind your head, and then you're just going to rotate up towards the ceiling. So my left hand's behind my head, my left elbow is rotating up towards the ceiling. You're going to push into the floor with the right forearm, back down, and then up at opposite side, down, do 5 on each side, and then we're going to do one more each side, but on this one we're going to get to the end range. You're going to take a big belly breath or a big diaphragmatic breath in, 360 degrees, and then on the exhalation you're going to try and rotate a little bit further. So get your neutral, upper back in extension, hand behind the head, rotate up to the ceiling, take a breath in, and then exhalation, try and rotate a little bit further. Swap sides. Do the same. Breath in. Exhale, get a little bit further. Now come up onto your hands, so we're going to go into quadruped. So hands and knees. Fingers spread wide, hands fully connected with the floor, so don't let your arches lift. So find your neutral spine again. Upper back nice and flat again. Shoulders active. So we're working on that thoracic extension, so pulling down through here without letting this bit go into extension. So trying to make your back as flat as it can be and make it sort of parallel with the floor. And then we're just going to hinge backwards, so you're hinging the hips, so you're flexing back through the hip without losing the lower back into flexion. And then when you come forwards, we want to keep the lower back in neutral without going into extension. So flex backwards, flexion coming from the hip. Keep the upper back nice and flat. Keep working to mobilise through your upper back and come forwards, back, forwards, back. Really control this movement, really important for when you're exercising, when you're doing things like squats or deadlifts. This hinge movement is really important, but it's also really important when you're like sitting, so standing from sitting, or standing to sitting. If you can't control this movement when you do that, every time you do it, you're going to overload your lower back, and that can lead to problems. So it's re-educating hip flexion and extension without anything happening in the lower back. So now we've got that, we're going to do some rotations again. So neutral spine, upper back flat, put the hand behind the head again, and we're just going to rotate up to the ceiling. And down. And then rotate. And down. So this time we're not doing alternating, we're just doing the same side. And then we're going to take it into the thread the needle, so arm up and through. Arm up and through. Arm up, through. Arm up, through. One more this side. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. So again, neutral spine, upper back flat, hand behind the head, rotate up to the ceiling and down. And then we're going to go to thread the needle again, so arm up and through, up, through, just do one more of those. Back into quadruped. Find your neutral, upper back flat, curl your back feet under. Just going to lift the bum in the air. So when you come into your bear position, don't let your pelvis go into an anterior tilt and you lose it into your lower back. So create your brace, find your neutral and lift and lower. Lift, lower, lift, lower, and then we're just gonna again hinge, so keeping the upper back flat, try and hinge backwards so you're flexing the hips. This is the one I struggle with. Hold it there, really trying to focus on that upper back coming into extension. And then I'm going to come forwards a little bit because we're going to walk the hands back into the squat. Nice upright spine. Try not to let yourself flex. And we're just going to rotate up to the ceiling. And then go the other way. And then come up and back down. Again, keeping nice and upright in your spine. So into squat, stand, and then we're just going to we're going to go from this squat position and we're going to keep the pelvis front on, but we're going to twist the body. So your right hand is going to twist over the left side, and then back down and twist. Keeping the pelvis front on, so the rotation's coming from the spine. So alternating sides. One more each side. And then you're going to go back down into the squat. Hands forward, back into bear, and take 1 foot forwards into your tripod. So we're going to rotate. So left foot forwards, right knee back, and then we're going to take the left hand up towards the ceiling, rotating the spine. Take that hand down, and then rotate the other way. Back down. One more each side. And then up into your high kneel. Make sure that your pelvis is level, so it's not one side higher than the other, so you get this diagonal appearance. So you're going to pull the pelvis in line with the floor, and you need to try and keep this throughout. Try and keep neutral here again, and we're going to twist one way, so grab hold of the leg with the right hand and twist the left arm back. And then grab hold of the knee with the left hand, twist the right arm back. And then we're just going to go into stand. So try and make sure that the knee tracks the second and third toe, so it doesn't collapse in or out when you're standing. Make sure that your pelvis doesn't just shoot off to the side. So we're going to try and keep neutral, level pelvis. So neutral in your neutral pelvic position this way, but also this way. Okay, so curl the back foot under, breathe and stand. And then as you come back, take 1 foot back, lower, keeping the pelvis level. So just lower down, nice and slow. And then last one. Bring your hands back down. Take the left leg back. Take the right foot forwards, and we're going to do those again. So tripod rotation. So right foot forwards this time. I'm going to take the right hand up towards the ceiling. Left hand. Right hand. Left hand. Up into high kneel. Again, get the pelvis level with the floor. And you're going to take the left hand across, right hand back. Grab hold of the right knee with the right hand, twist the left hand back. And now standing, so curl the back foot under, pelvis level. Again, don't let your pelvis shoot out to the side. Don't let the knee go either inwards or outwards. So we're going to stand and down, stand and down. Okay, finish off in standing. I'm going to come back a bit. And again, we're going to do those spinal rotations, keeping the pelvis forwards, but we're just going to stand. So you're going to take the right hand across and back and left hand across. Movement just coming from the spine, pelvis keeping on pointing forwards. One more each side. And that is our spinal rotation and thoracic extension session done for today.